Scientifically speaking, we're sharing the view. From labs to clinics, breakthrough shining through. With minds that inspire and stories to unfold. Scientifically speaking, the future's being told.
Welcome to Scientifically Speaking with Christine on Oz Arab Media, where we explore groundbreaking ideas and conversations that impact lives. Today, we're diving into a topic that affects us all: psychosocial hazards in the workplace. From burnout and toxic leadership to poor communication and isolation, these hidden stresses can negatively affect both our mental health and workplace productivity. Joining me today is someone who's on a mission to change the way we think about mental health and resilience. Dima Istambouli is the founder of Mind Architecture, originally trained as an architecture, but made a powerful shift, moving from designing buildings to designing resilient mindsets. She's the creator of S.M.I.L.E framework and also the author of Intentional Reset. Today, she's here to help us understand how we can prevent psychosocial hazards and create healthier, happier, and productive work environments. Dima, welcome to the show.
Thank you. That's a nice introduction. I love your energy.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. Well, we're here today to talk about good energy.
Yes.
So let's keep it going and say, what exactly are psychosocial hazards and how do they show up in the modern workplace?
Psychosocial hazards are hazards that affect people at work and can lead to damages in their mental health.
Right.
Now, later on, we're going to talk about how mental health and physical health are
Yep.
interconnected, but actually the physical signs are symptoms of the psychosocial hazards at work. And if I want to put it more into perspective,
Yep.
if you are at work, you constantly feel anxious about what your boss is going to say, how you're going to be judged by your colleagues. I'm not going to go into the workload and all the technicalities about psychosocial hazards. What I really want to highlight today is these factors that nobody talks about, that we take for granted. Come on, be stronger. Why you're over-exaggerating things? These are things that affect our mental health. And as a result, if you're going through that for a long time, it's going to affect your physical health and sometimes your family, your relationships, and everyone and everything around you.
Yeah, so you're bringing the drama back home and all the consequences
Yes.
after it.
It's like, because you said bringing it home,
Yeah.
it's actually a vicious circle.
Right.
So it could be you not feeling well, going to work and feeling offended by everything, and then taking it back to home,
Yeah.
or the opposite. You are at work, you're okay, you're fine, you have a good family life and everything, but then at work something happens, you interpret it wrong based on some lenses, and then you go back at home and it affects your work. Your
It's
home.
such a big
Yeah.
circle. Tell me, why is it so important for organizations to recognize these hazards early rather than waiting for the burnout to happen?
In general, especially in Australia,
Right.
we wait for signs to happen, then we come and ask, are you okay?
Right.
In my opinion, it's very important to be aware because in the workplace, any company, any organization has a mission.
Right.
They have a product, they have a service. We are all doing something for our communities, and we want that thing to impact our community and our society in a good way.
Right.
Now, our energy, going back to energy, the energy of the company is the addition of the energy of every single part. I'll take it into a different perspective.
True.
Our body.
Yeah.
The organization is the body. Every single person in the organization is one part of the body. The leader is the brain. The culture is the heart.
Oh, that's
The
amazing.
executive team is the nerve system. So if I have a good system, if I have a good workplace, a healthy workplace, means all this system is working in harmony, in congruence, and therefore all the vital chemicals, everything our organ needs is coming toward them. So going back to psychosocial hazards, think about it this way. If one organ is not feeling well, even if it's your tooth,
Yeah, the whole
you
system's
can't operate.
wrecked. Yeah, that's true.
And the opposite as well. If everything, like if every person is good, but there is a toxic culture or there is something not right in the workplace, the body is going to feel drained and it cannot operate. Therefore, we look at the numbers. If you look at the economy, it's going so bad that the effect of mental health moved from $6 billion a year to $12 billion a year. But if you go and research it, you're going to be shocked because it's moving, depends on what you're combining together. But the compensation companies are paying is ridiculously high. And if we zoom out, honestly speaking, our society in a few years' time, we're going to have mentally affected people more than people who are really thinking in a sane way.
While you're talking about that, Dima, can you highlight examples? What are toxic relationships, poor communication, or job insecurity? Like one of these at a daily basis in life.
You know, cost of living nowadays, people have debts, mortgages, they're overthinking, and we have to talk today about how we can let go because this is a solution.
Yes, we will, hopefully.
So we're really thinking about all of this, worrying. We arrive at work and someone speaks to us in some way. Maybe that's their personality style, and this is another part of the story. But they speak to us in a way, immediately we're feeling like, oh my God, I cannot, like, I'm really feeling something. I need to share it with that person. Maybe they're being unfair. Maybe that's their way. I need to communicate in order to solve this issue.
Right.
But what happens, because I'm so afraid about my job and losing my job in this market, I just don't talk about it, keep it inside, and start ruminating about this idea. What happens is I really develop mental challenges that will affect me and affect the way I see my work. So I stop being productive. I go back at home. I'm talking to my kids. I'm not really into the conversation. I'm on autopilot, just thinking, how can we survive? How can I make sure that I don't lose my job?
And then you feel guilty there, and then you take it back to work.
Exactly.
And then it's just a stressful life.
Yeah, and it's like a cup filling, and then out of nowhere, someone on the street, I'm not going to say even at work, is speaking to you, and then you lash out on them. Just because you didn't have that space where you're really releasing all what's going on in your mind.
While we're at it, out of script, if I can say, can we really blame it on the job when we are overwhelmed that much? Isn't it everything? Aren't we part of this as well?
I can never blame it on the job, to be honest. And that's why my strategy has always been around the person. So you mentioned the S.M.I.L.E. framework, and I'm going to go through it quickly.
We will talk about it. We will.
So it's you as a person, you as an organ in this body, you have a self-awareness. And when you start looking at yourself from out of the box, you're going to depict a lot of things. And scientifically speaking, we go back to nature, we go back to nurture. We see that, yes, we are born with a DNA. We take those genes from our parents, but the environment we live in, the way we were raised, the way our teachers talk to us, the way not only our parents, any person in the direct environment talks to us in a way, it imprints the way we see ourselves. And that self-awareness, if it's not there, we end up blaming someone. So in this case, I look at work and say, the workload is bad, my manager is bad. Yes, there are things like this, but by raising our self-awareness, by becoming the person we wish to be, we will be protected. And when the workload is big, I use time management. When time management fails, I go and talk to my boss. But instead, you see a lot of people nowadays immediately jumping into conclusion, that's my job, I hate my job. I go, and some people start pushing forward cases in court because, and honestly, You start with yourself, you understand yourself, and once you understand, then you can understand the people around you. That's part of the S.M.I.L.E framework.
Amazing. I'm heading straight into S.M.I.L.E very soon. But I want to really know, it's very interesting how you put it from an architecture of building or designing buildings into designing mindsets. How did your personal journey really shape your mission with Mind Architects?
I'm going to be short on that, but then I'm going to try to be short because actually this is why I started Mind Architecture.
Right.
So as an architect with more than 17 years of experience in construction and execution, I love that side of me as well. I hit rock bottom when I was in Dubai.
Right.
I was trying to be, and so many people that are listening today, I think they're going to relate to this.
Yeah.
Trying to be the perfect partner, the perfect mother, the perfect career woman. I can do it all. I'm a superwoman. I was trying to prove to someone, trust me, now, even now, when I think about it, I don't know who I was trying to impress. I wasn't trying, like there was no one who was asking me to prove myself.
Yeah.
But there was always this challenge going on inside. Anyway, I'm someone who smiles all the time, all the time. At that stage, if someone says, hi, Dima, how are you? I start crying.
Oh, wow.
So that was the burnout. Like and I didn't know it was burnout. At that time, I didn't know anything. I asked for help. It was too expensive and too time consuming. I had 3 kids. Like my kids are, when they were young, 3 under 3.
Oh, wow.
Yes. So in that space, I couldn't even think of going
No
with
time for
someone.
myself.
Yes. They gave me like 30 minutes or 15 minutes to talk about it. I would be crying and someone would say, sorry, we can't help you because you need to pay that amount of money. Fast forward, went to Instagram. I thought, you know what? If I can't find someone to help me, maybe I'll share how I'm feeling. While sharing how I'm feeling through Mind Architecture on Instagram, I realized I'm writing things, like my sister called me from Lebanon, say, Dima, like, are you stealing these words?
Wow.
And I'm
it's
like,
not
because I'm
you.
French educated.
Oh, okay.
And I'm writing in English. And this is where I realized, first, I'm a believer. So I think God was there somewhere, somehow.
Giving signs.
But since I was 15, at that time I was 37. Since I was 15, I was reading self-help books. I'm so curious. So all what I learned started surfacing in my writings, and then people connected with me.
Oh, lovely.
When they connected and I started listening to them, honestly speaking, I didn't do much except trying to get what they're talking about, and I call it putting voice to their thoughts.
Wow.
Fast forward, they would disappear, come back in a few months' time asking me, Dima, you changed my life. I'm like, what? Me? They said, yeah, when I talked to you last time, I couldn't see, and suddenly I saw something. I even started my business. Some people stopped gambling. Some people stopped smoking. And I was like, oh my God, that's...
You're such a good influencer.
There is something. And at that time, I'm like, I'm done with architecture. I really want to go into people.
Oh, amazing.
So it was more like, even when I'm talking to them, it was more like using how, okay, someone comes to me with a plot of land and asking me to design. I would look at what the council wants. I would look at the limitations of the land. I'm taking from the client and giving them a shape, a house. Then I thought, it's the same. I'm talking to these people, talking to me about their minds. I'm sharing with them what I know about the mind. And anyway, COVID hit. So at that time, I started giving consultancy for other companies. Because from one person to another and all of that, COVID came and I was like, what if I die? I wanted to put all my thoughts in a place, and that's...
Oh, wow.
That's
how
intentional reset was done because the mission was create a guide for people to guide themselves from where they are to where they wish to be. Because I couldn't find that person who would help me, I created the book.
Right.
And 99% of the time, I never sold it. I sell it, but I give it to people as a way to prove that I am on a mission.
Yeah, oh my God.
Yeah.
While we're talking about the book, if you don't mind, just tell me, you did tell us how it was developed, but how does that work in a workplace context? Like, how is it helping them to reset, really?
Yeah. Let's take a case study.
Okay.
An HR executive who's she's feeling overwhelmed. Sometimes she blames it on her relationship with her husband because he's not really cooperating, not helping her. Then she talks about her kids that are really not listening to her. But then she talks about her team. And this is where we're focusing today, the work. She says, I don't trust them. I have to micromanage them. I have to look at their emails, toxic communication. So I started with that person. I did the session. So intentional reset is actually a framework. That's how it's incongruous with the S.M.I.L.E method.
Right.
So it's a system where you get the person to see themselves from the outside and get them to understand what they're dealing with. Most of our workplace problems and home problems are related to how we feel about ourselves. So if I get people to understand who they are and be in control. All of us have this problem. We want to be in control of our lives. So if you know the scientifically proven information, you're going to take the lead and you're going to feel better.
Amazing.
A parenthesis. I've been dealing with pains in my shoulders, my neck. Went to so many physio, chiro. Everyone would tell me something. 2 weeks ago, I went to this new guy who gave me exactly what's going on. You know what happened? Suddenly, I felt like, okay, I'll do the exercises because I know what is the cause of my pain. When we don't know, we feel more pain.
Haphazardly making anything,
So with this concept, you're giving people what is the problem.
Right.
They are in control and they can change their behavior to do it. So in the workplace, when me as a person start feeling better about myself, my energy will be reflected on my team. So we start with the person, but then again, what we did, we moved into, she said, you know what? I want my whole team to feel the same way. So we did the workshop for the whole team.
Oh, amazing.
Then she said, but I have communication problems. Their emails are toxic when they talk to each other. We did the communication. And here, I told you before about the personality style. So all these things, when I know what's your personality style, I know how to talk to you. I'm not changing my personality, but I'm understanding that you are someone who likes details. So I cannot come to you and dream with you. I have to come and say 1, 2, 3, 4. So as a conclusion, when I work on myself, I do an intentional reset, then I can accept other people. And then, like through the S.M.I.L.E method, I will explain how it happens in a process.
That is lovely, Dima. I'm really impressed and I'm really interested. This book is not staying in between your hands after this episode. But while we're mentioning smile, smile, smile all the time, it's nice to smile, but this is an acronym as far as I know. Just tell me, what is the S.M.I.L.E framework? How does it support individuals in preventing or overcoming mental strains?
I like to give ideas in a simple way.
Yeah, of course, that's lovely.
So, first of all, as human beings, after working so hard on myself and my personal development, I realized that the most important is the belonging. So when we talk about personal development, psychosocial hazards, we should always talk about the individual and about how the individual stand in the environment. And most of our mental issues, although they start with us as a person, they are complemented by our environment. So with the S.M.I.L.E method, it's divided into 2 stages. First, we have the S, which is self-mastery.
Okay.
How to deal with myself. I'm self-aware, I'm self-confident, I have self-leadership, I say something to myself and I go through with it. Like, I respect myself. All of these fall under the self-mastery.
Right.
M is mindfulness, how to deal with time. So how to deal with myself should be coupled with how to deal with time, because we don't know if tomorrow is coming. We plan and overplan and put future plans and think of the past and all of that, forgetting that we really only have this present moment.
Yeah.
So if I know how to deal with myself and I appreciate the value of time, instead of wasting it over planning, I just live today and I say, I have today, how can I make this the best time of my life?
Yeah.
The third one is inner peace, how to deal with circumstances. So I have the time, I know how to deal with myself, and suddenly something happens in my life.
How to deal with that.
How to deal with that.
Overcome it.
So if I appreciate the time, I know that circumstances, and this is maybe the most valuable thing I'm going to say today.
Yeah.
Circumstances, whether failures or successes, but I love failures because they really teach us.
Of course.
So people
Well, it
expect...
doesn't kill you, makes you stronger.
Exactly, but we say it more than apply it.
Yeah, we do.
So at home, I've seen people hit their kids, even in Australia, because they did something wrong and they're not understanding. They are supposed not to understand at the beginning, and that's how they're going to learn. I've seen people get demoted at work because they didn't get something that is needed for their journey. So you need to fail in order to succeed. Now, you're going to tell him, but they're always doing the same thing. At work, it's different. If you're not understanding, it means you're not getting it. I either train you or I release you. But at home, kids will not learn from the first time. So this whole approach, the S.M.I.L.E, will help the person understand themselves very well to move to the L, which is leadership.
Right.
I cannot lead in the workplace if I don't lead myself. If I am a micromanager in the workplace, I have to look back and see why I'm not trusting people, and that goes back to the S. And finally, emotional intelligence, which is all of these together with my experience are leading me to understand, to stop actually, and take charge of the time between what someone says to me and how I'm going to react.
Yeah.
Now, that's the S.M.I.L.E framework. Once you add experience and time, it leads to resilience. And that's what every single person needs, whether it's a baby, it's a teenage, it's a university student, tradie, a business owner, anyone need to be resilient in their thinking in order to achieve success, which is not only money, because I'm going to say only money. I don't believe success is a result, money is a result more than a proof of success. Yeah. The success is when I am leading a happy life where I feel inner peace, where I feel I'm really like, if today is the last day of my life,
I'm content.
Would I regret anything? This is...
Oh, amazing. Dima, one of your key strategies is incorporating cognitive behavioral techniques, or known as CBT. Yeah. How can this be applied practically in our workplace nowadays?
I'll give a quick strategy, for example. I'm someone who always feels down when I get a remark from someone else. Let's take this scenario. And in the workplace, someone will always tell me that, please do this or change that, or you haven't succeeded in this. Now, there's something called the ABC model.
Okay.
A is the adversity. Something happened. Someone told me something. C is the consequence. How did I take that comment? And how do I feel about it? So immediately I feel like I'm not happy. I'm taking this scenario.
Yes, sure.
I'm not happy. This is not fair. I do whatever it takes and nobody appreciates it, blah, 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 blah. Between the A and the C, there's a B. The B is the belief. Why am I taking it this way? The belief comes from how I was raised. So if I was someone who was criticized all their life when they are young, we tend to want to please the people around us. Yeah. So someone says something, you feel.
Yeah.
And that feeling is coming back from how you think.
Yeah.
Now, how I think, if I stop and dispute it, that's the D.
Yeah, okay.
If I dispute it, I would say, no, but I am good enough.
Yeah.
Look at my results. Look at what I'm doing. So this is part of changing behavior.
Yeah.
I start changing the thought, which is the cognition, and saying to myself, no. Like, let's say me.
Me, yeah.
I wrote a book. I wrote programs. I'm training people. How can I think that I'm not good enough? So first, any person talking to me, it's their opinion and their reality. Okay? I take it because I need to understand what people are thinking. But then when I really analyze it, this is where I say, okay, maybe because I was punished so many times, I have this thought about myself, I need to change it and start looking at my actual results and start changing how I feel. And with disputing this idea over and over again, I reach a place where I have a new feeling and a new belief about myself. And with time, when I apply these strategies, this is one of many, I will be able to go to work, be ready to be criticized or given some sort of feedback, but because I believe in myself, going back to the S.M.I.L.E. framework, I know who I am, I believe in what I am, I know that I will make mistakes, I need to grow. That's how I'm saying, that's okay, I'll put it, analyze it. If that's right, I'll change something in my behavior. If it's not right, then I come and say, you know what, you thought about it this way, but I think when I talk, I will be able to put voice to my thoughts.
Yes.
It won't be inside.
Right.
It won't be a psychosocial hazard.
I was going to ask you next, Dima, why is it so important, to have those emotional intelligence to prevent toxic relationships? How important is it?
I like to give examples. I'm going to go back to the relationships because relationships are so important. And when you feel that you're having a lot of problems in your relationships, this is when you need to stop and change the way you're thinking. Going back to personality styles, we have 4 personality styles.
Okay.
Dominant, it's DISC. Dominant, influencing, steady, and compliant. When we talk about these, we have 3% that in the society in general that are dominant, 11% that are influencing, 69% that are steady,
Wow.
and 17% that are compliant. In relationships, if we're looking, we're saying 86% of the society is steady and compliant. As a parent, I'm 86% steady. Then I have a child who is a D or an I that hate rules.
Hit me with information. Yes, go ahead.
Hate rules, wants to be themselves.
Yep.
They want to give their opinion, but
Yep.
I cannot let them because I want them to conform. What happens? Because I don't accept them, they're going to be reactive, and they're going to have a different idea of who they are. I'm going to be struggling because I'm trying to get someone to listen to me, and they're not listening to me, and I need to impose
You're
things.
trying to make them yourself, but they're different than you.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And here, where emotional intelligence come in, I'm aware. I'm aware that my child or that team member is not like me. If I'm emotionally intelligent, I look into their personality. I see what is their strength. And I build on their strength because every team need to have the 4. If all the team is one side, then I struggle at work.
Yeah.
And here, I'll give you a real example.
Yeah.
I was helping a company dealing with their culture, how to work on their culture and all of that. We realized that most of the leaders, the people in the leading positions, are a C. A C is someone who's compliant, means perfectionist, means take their time. So they were no one was accepting due dates. No one was finishing their work on time. The HR happened to be a C. So if that HR knew about this system, she would know that, yes, I need a C to have the detail, the most beautiful piece, but at the same time, I need someone who can go ahead and do the job like an S, for example, or someone who's not panicking and doesn't care, takes the project and go and talk about it. So
That's very important, and actually putting together a team when you are, taking positions or vacancies.
Yes.
You need to take these DISC into consideration.
and unfortunately,
they're not.
no one is taking this into consideration. We look at the skills. We don't even look at the personality. How much money they want, how can I save money? But on the long run, if I have a team that is not emotionally intelligent, that is not resilient,
Right.
on the first downturn, they're going to give up.
Oops.
And how do you know? If your company has a lot of turnovers, if people are demotivated, they do their job, they finish their job. I know it's the rule, but when someone looks at the time, 5 punch out and that's it, these are signs that you don't have the culture,
Yeah.
people don't belong, and that's definitely going to affect your results. So if you have a company today listening to us and you feel that the sales are going down, the team doesn't feel to be right, yes, the market is bad, but even if the market is bad, and I'll give an example about Lebanese entrepreneur, I'm part of this Lebanese entrepreneur groups. I am overwhelmed by the amount of creativity they're having and the success they're having in Lebanon.
Amazing.
And why they're having it, because of the mindset. So if you're here, your company is struggling, trust me, the last thing is to blame is the market. The first thing is to blame, what are you doing in the company? Do your team belong? Does your team belong or doesn't belong? Does your team gives you that feeling that they're monotone, they're just not there? This is the time where you need to start implementing things that will get your team to belong, get your team to be in, and get your team to be a real part, a real organ of the body of the organization.
Dima, is this what you're talking about called psychological safety in the work environment?
Yes, psychological safety is create that environment where people belong.
Right.
Give them that. So job security is part of people's psychological challenges.
Right.
As a company, I would come and sit with my employees and explain to everyone in the company regularly what is expected from them, what would really lead for a promotion or a demotion, what is expected. And here, another thing that a lot of companies fail to do is to set what are their values. You can't only sell a product, like that's it. We're here, we're selling this product, and that's it. I want to get more people. I want to get more clients, and I forget about my team. And I've seen it so many times. I do a lot of consultancy for companies. And the first thing, like a company would call me to ask me to do a workshop on self-confidence for presentations, for example. The first thing I notice after I come into a meeting with the owners or with the executive team is the problem is not the self-confidence. The problem is this company doesn't have values, doesn't have a real culture. So when you don't have this, the team is going to come and go. People are going to resign easily. They will not belong. So this is very important. The psychological safety comes from an environment where people feel accepted, when people feel that even if someone comes to me and give me a criticism, it's coming from a place of love. Are we creating this or no? It's the result. How much sales did you do today? How much? So it's all about numbers, and people become numbers. They're not people, and your company will become a number in all this society.
Dima, you often encourage organizations to consult employees and gather feedback. What's the best way in doing that meaningfully on grounds?
Yeah, I created this, something called Chief Motivational Officer.
Okay.
And this specific position is a third-party position.
Okay.
So that's one example. When you have someone that is not from the company, let's say we're talking about a company that has problems. We'll talk about the other scenario. A company has a lot of turnovers, toxicity, all of that. I wouldn't get one from the company to do that. I'll get a third party to come in, start building trust through workshops, through knowing what's your personality style, talking about with the employees. When you have that person, you're gonna have those conversations without the people feeling offended or feeling, okay, if I give my opinion, it might come back.
I'm going to be fired straight after.
So you have to have someone who talks to the employees, gather this information from them, so you would know what is really happening inside the company. And the other way to do it as well, if you are like, it's a healthy organization, you don't really have a lot of problems, but you really feel that it's time for the team to feel like more excited about the job, I would say have weekly lunches, like one lunch a week or one out a week. Go out with the employees. Get them maybe once a month so people don't feel like it's too much. But you need to do things for your employees that gets them to bond together. Team building. Like team building, one of those ideas I've done some time back in Dubai. We had this dinner and we had games in the dinner, like funny games. The next day when they meet each other at work, they're seeing themselves from a different perspective. And in Australia, like for me, it's been only 3 years that I relocated here.
Yeah.
I'm seeing a lack of this.
Because sometimes I believe that the employee would see their boss from the fun side and just forget about the formalities, if you
Yeah.
know what I mean. You know what I'm
Okay.
like today you're my boss and I'm talking to you formally and giving you reports and all that. And then the next day we're drinking together and having
Yeah.
fun and whatever. I come the third day, hey mate, how are you? Oh mate, you forgot yourself. We're you know.
I'm so happy
yeah.
you highlighted this because, okay, with my work, I
Yeah.
don't only work with executives, by the way.
Right.
I always work, actually, I don't only work on the professional side, I work also in the family. It's the same scenario when I tell people you need to partner with your kids and like, what? I'm the authority. They need
I'm not
to
their friend.
respect me.
Yeah.
I'm not their friend. And I have this, always people criticize me because I'm the friend of my kids.
Yeah.
And I'll explain why it's important and why it doesn't matter. First of all, I'm sure you've heard about the leader and the manager. Are you
Yeah.
a leader or are you
Yes.
are you a leader or you're a boss? A leader is someone who can go down to the level of his employees or her employees, listen to them, nurture them, navigate them, lead them. There are so many things a leader can do, not from an authority perspective. You gain respect, you don't impose respect.
So you befriend them.
You befriend them because the respect and the boundary is, it should, again, from my point of view and from my experience, if you put the rules on a wall and say, don't, I will go to, if my personality style, I'm an ID, I'll look at the wall and I'm like, I'm not even applying for this job.
Oh wow.
It's, you need, and that's the sense of belonging. That makes a company succeed in so many different ways because the leader is creating that sense of belonging. But of course, there's a boundary, and the boundary is, it's not spoken, it's not articulated, it's, you feel it. If I'm a leader and I want my employees to do well, I need to keep my door open for everyone to come in and share how they're feeling. Now, I don't have time for this. I will have the person who have time for this. And that's why
Hire someone that would do that on
chief
your behalf,
motivational
yeah.
officer, if it's not a third party, if it's a person that it's contractual, when they come into the company, all the employees come and tell them what's happening. Now, when I see the leader of the CEO or whoever, I'm happy to see them. I'm not like, oh my God, what if they see me? If I'm having this feeling, means the culture is bad. That's actually a toxic culture where the energy of the leader is not dissipated. It's actually, it's constipated.
We just got the word together. Yes.
Yeah, the other day I was telling someone this school is constipated, and they all looked at me and like, what do you mean? I said, they have so many rules that the kids won't have the ability to give their opinion and to flourish. That's what we need. And now, like this week, I started a new program for teenagers and for kids. So two different programs, because I wanted this. I want kids to start believing that I can be a leader from a very young age by playing with a purpose, not just scrolling.
Yeah. Do you think that all of this, where you're saying how building the relationships, being the leader, the boss, whatever you want to call it, would bring in fairness, inclusion, and respect?
Of course.
They will.
Because as a leader, I have self-mastery.
Yeah.
I'm mindful. I'm aware that circumstances come and go. Cost of living now, COVID before, there will always be something that's going to happen. If I am in that space, then everyone around me is in that space, and I can see people beyond who they are and what they're talking about. I can see their if I feel someone is not feeling well, I can feel it. I get them in. Say, tell me.
Are you
what do you
okay?
think? Yes. And this is when I say. And going back to that, are you okay? People don't show signs except after a long time of dealing with issues. So when we see the sign, it could be 2 years of suffering.
I know there's a lot yet to talk about and a lot of examples that I'd love to hear from you, but because we're restricted with time, I want to tackle bullying and harassment.
Yes.
There are unfortunately still in some industries. What systems or actions must be in place to address this really effectively?
Especially construction.
Oh my God,
Yeah,
there you go.
It's one of the biggest one hit by
Wow.
mental health and bullying and harassment, because we expect people to know everything. Why you're coming to work if you don't know. Now, how to tackle this? It's always going back to the same one.
Yeah, of course.
If I, as a person, trust myself, if I know what I add to the table, then if someone comes and tell me you're a failure, you don't add anything to the table, I don't even interact with the ideas. I just walk away, to be honest, because bullying and rejection are an expression of how a person feels about themselves. So to reduce that or to really remove it, I removed it from my dictionary because at the beginning, when I was working, especially as a woman in construction, I would go into sites and people won't respect me because,
Sexism?
who are you? Like, you're coming to tell us. But the minute, first of all, I don't get offended. That's emotional intelligence.
Yeah.
I stop and I understand their point of view. They've never seen someone on site as a woman dealing with them.
Okay.
So when my energy is still the same, they drop it.
No.
They connect. It's easier to connect. But if I get offended and say, what are you talking about? I move the conversation to a completely different level.
Yeah.
I would lose 1 hour, and overseas, it's not like here. Here, okay, I'm going to report it, write a report, come tell me what happened. Before we go into all of this, if I trust myself, I went into the site, someone did this comment, I'll joke about it, but I start talking about where we are, like, what are we doing today? The minute they see, I trust myself, I know what's going to happen.
You went professional about it.
Yeah, and I didn't really give them the pleasure, because a lot of times...
Or the time to
No,
actually offend
there's the
me.
pleasure, like trolling online.
Yeah.
Let's talk about also
Yeah,
this
sure.
one. When someone comes and comments on your post on anything in a bad way, you know what they want? They want you to answer back. The minute you answer back, they answer 3 times and they bully you.
Yeah.
And then I know someone who's dealing with this, and every time I look at him and say, listen, do you want to stop this? Stop replying. How can I stop replying? It's just like it's
teasing
dignity,
me.
and it's dignity. Like, why they're not respecting me, online or in person. Those people exist.
They do.
The only way to stop them is not to entertain how they're speaking, other than empathy, because here a lot of people will criticize this. When I have empathy towards myself, when I have compassion, and I understand that I'm going through learning, I'm on a learning curve. Some people are at the bottom, they still didn't start, or some people are really going through it. When you're on that learning curve and your emotional intelligence is high, you stop and you don't really think about it, because you know...
You've matured emotionally.
Yeah, they like, it's their opinion, it's not me. That's one. 2, you look at them from a different perspective, because you see, they are not on that learning curve. They're speaking a different language. So if someone is speaking to you Chinese today or Arabic and you don't understand those languages, you're going to look at them and don't really
Poker face.
Yeah.
Nothing.
It's like nothing.
Yeah.
So why are we trying to get other people to speak our language? They don't speak my language. That's it. Leave them on the side and move on. Because without emotional intelligence,
But that needs a lot of practice.
bullying and harassment will haunt you.
They will.
Will haunt you with relationships.
Yeah.
So I talked about relationships
Yeah.
earlier, but I'm going to emphasize on this. The way you see yourself, if you feel that you're not good enough, you're going to attract someone who's going to look at you that you're not good enough. So that's why it always
Attracts likes. Yeah.
always starts from the inside out. And once you trust yourself, you're going to stop these bullies. And if you are on a high level, you're not only going to stop them, you're going to impress them, and they're going to be influenced by you, because they're going to suddenly feel like, oh, wow, that's interesting. And they're going
She's strong enough. I couldn't reach to her. Yeah.
No, and they're going to come and open up.
Wow.
My daughter had in Dubai, when she was at school, there was this girl who was bullying everyone else. She was in so much trouble. So my daughter went and talked to her in a nice way. She gave her
Yeah.
attention.
Yeah.
Because most of the time they want attention, but
seekers,
not...
yeah.
They're used to the bad attention. A bully is bullied. That's my point of view.
Yeah.
A bully is bullied at home or anywhere else.
Yeah.
So she started talking to her, and then she realized her parents were not in good terms.
Oh,
she
she's
was
acting out.
Yes. And then the girl started looking at my daughter as her role model and changed her behavior.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, Dima, what advice would you give an employee currently feeling overwhelmed or unsupported in their workplace?
Self-awareness first. Stop. The minute they notice this, it's half of the solution, to be honest.
Amazing.
Because the problem is the people that are not aware that they are overwhelmed. So once I'm overwhelmed, I think I'm going to share this in a way that convinces people why they should ask for help. If we want to have a license in Australia to drive,
Yeah.
okay, I don't know how to drive, so I don't know how to lead my mental health. I don't know how to trust myself. These are all licenses we need to have. Where do we start? With a course.
Yeah.
We start with the information. Information alone will help? No. Because I go, sit a computer test, and do the test. Okay, yes, knowledge is done. Now I have to sit behind the wheel.
And practice.
With what? L. L is having a helping hand next to you. An instructor will help you for 120 hours in order for you to gain the confidence to take the P. With the P, you're not allowed after 11 to have someone with you. You're not allowed to go over 90. Then you move into the other P, and then you move into a full license. How does it apply with our way? I feel overwhelmed today. Go and read something. Don't sit on your social media because you're overwhelmed, mindlessly scrolling in the morning and at night, because overwhelm most of the time is coming from these things. I compare what I'm seeing on social media with my work. What am I doing about it? Nothing. I'm seeking more information, and that's psychologically driven because they use those psychological tricks to keep you...
Get the L to your life.
Yes.
Let someone
So go move to the L, put your phone down, learn 1% every day. I'm ready to send my book to whoever message us on this episode,
Yeah, sure.
and ask for it. We're ready to send it because that's what you need. 1 page a day, or any book, any famous book you want. Read 1 page a day. Educate yourself. That's if you cannot afford asking for help from a counselor, therapist, whoever.
Yeah.
But if you really feel overwhelmed and stuck, alone you can do it. But if you feel you cannot do it alone, ask for help.
Amazing.
And the L is asking for help. And it doesn't have to be years. It could be 2-3 times where you talk to someone, explain to them how you feel, but don't leave it to deal with it on your own. I know someone who's a teenager. He's completely stuck where he is. He's been trained not to be himself because the parents are not matching his personality style. So he lost his identity. And now, to move forward, he tried many therapists. He didn't like them. Then he gave up. He doesn't want to do anything anymore. This is what's going to lead our society now to a problem because we can't afford it. We don't find the right people. If you don't find the right people, try to learn by yourself, and trust me, we're not too complicated as human beings. We have a malleable brain. All we have to do is give it the time rather than let it be guided by what we're watching 24/7.
Very wise words. Finally, before we leave, Dima, where can our listeners find your book, Intentional Reset, or even connect with you to learn more about the programs?
So Mind Architecture, easy.
Yes.
On Instagram, on Facebook, Dima Istambouli on LinkedIn, Facebook. Like the book, I would really like to give it to you for free.
Oh,
I really
we'd like to support too.
Yeah, the support. Like it's actually the physical book is in Lebanon in Librairie Antoine.
Oh yeah.
And then here it's on Amazon as well on Kindle. But I promise it's a mission for me to get people to understand life from a different perspective because I don't know, it takes time even to go and search and
Yeah.
just ask for it. That's
Yeah,
it.
it's in your
That's
hands.
that's all what you
it.
need to do. And believe that life is too short. Every day matters. Make the best out of it. That's all what I can say.
Amazing, Dima. Thank you so much for joining us today and for sharing all those wisdom words and the passion. Oh my God, the passion is in your eyes. And before we go to our listeners, I just like to say, whether you're a leader, an employee, or a student, prioritizing your mental well-being is one of the best investments you can make. That's it for today's episode of Scientifically Speaking. Stay mindful, stay kind. Until next time.